You can only imagine the kind of denial the right wing has had over their incredibly devastating and destructive domestic terrorist attack / riot on the U.S. Capitol. The President of the United States insurrected and incited violence, invited domestic terrorists, white men and women to go to the United States Capitol and attack our country, the center of our country. If these were Democrats that had done this, if President-elect Joe Biden had been in office, or Obama, if Obama had done it, you already know that the right wing would be saying, oh my God, these rioters, these domestic terrorists. They wouldn't be saying anything else. They would be the ones pushing us to say, hey, you know what? No, you're right. But right-wingers, as always, can never face the truth. And they can never face when they do something wrong, which is 100% of the time. They never do anything right. Well, guess what? You know what they did do? By Trump's invitation, and by their own riot and terrorist attack on this country, Trump supporters murdered a police officer. Right now, the death count of that Capitol attack stands at 5. There was a woman who was shot in the neck, who was a 14 U.S. Air Force veteran, who was a part of that coup and was attempting to break into the Capitol. So forgive me, but I don't feel any sympathy for her, nor do I empathize with her. But, as I said, a Capitol policeman was killed because protesters dragged him out from his group of cops, fellow officers, and beat him to death. They tore off portions of his uniform, they tore off his helmet, and beat the living crap out of him. And I'm not going to show you the video. You can find that on YouTube. They beat him to death. And his fellow cops just stood there watching it happen. Their friend, their colleague, murdered it right in front of them. Beaten to death. And hit in the head with a fire hydrant. A fire hydrant. You gotta think about the kind of damage that may cause you if you survive. This man succumbed to his injuries. And for all of you in the right wing who say blue lives matter, well, apparently not. Because you just murdered a cop. What happened to those who said, oh, did you know that in Black Lives Matter, federal officers were killed? Oh, did you know that? Did you know that? Wow, all these Black Lives Matter killing police officers. Well, now, you white sons of guns, you killed a police officer for zero reason. Zero. There was no fraud in this election. There was no stolen election. There were no massive purges of voter registrations or anything like that. The Trump campaign went to court 62 times and lost. The one case they won affected 100 votes. It was a procedural win. Nothing major, nothing significant. And yet, you all still went out there and committed a heinous act against our country. And by the way, Josh Hawley went out there and fist bumped like this, giving his support to these people. He knew this was fake. He knew this was all performative theater. He knew there was a Democratic majority in the House that said, no, we're not going to overturn the election. He knew it was never going to happen, but he wanted to run for president. That's what he's focused on. Then you had Ted Cruz also, Paul Gosar, and so many others. But then you had Congressman Mo Brooks. Mo Brooks said, quote, we have to start taking down names. We got to take down names and kick some ass. Something like that. Rudy Giuliani said we have to do trial by combat. Breaking into the Capitol, tearing off the masks and shields of police officers. Getting people killed, murdering a police officer. All because they were blocking their way. So I never want to hear another right-winger talk about law and order. Because y'all just effed that up. You blew that out of the water. Trump said that Democrats would unleash mobs and would go against law and order. Guess what? He just did that. I don't ever want to hear another right-winger talk about it. And you know that they will because they're goddamn hypocrites. Each and every single one of them. So congratulations. The Capitol is now, the U.S. Capitol is now the site of a homicide investigation. You murdered a police officer. How incredible. That's what you get when you have right-wing, racist, white supremacist, domestic terrorists. White domestic terrorists. This has been going on for 50 years. And the fact that the Capitol Police didn't even help their own colleague, weren't even prepared. This was an attack on America. And this is on them. Every single one of them should be prosecuted. Police chiefs and captains who denied help from the FBI and the National Guard and everybody else, they should all be fired. Everybody should be prosecuted. Every single one. You can't not. Right-wingers caused this mess. They need to pay for it.